Hey, it's Michael Gugis with Road Racing World and Motorcycle Technology, and we're here in Cupertino in Northern California for the introduction of the 2024 Yamaha MT-09. This is kind of special for me because I think I've been on every press launch of this particular model from the very first one. It was the very first bike that Yamaha introduced with its 800 and back then 847cc triple. And I've honestly lost count of the number of introductions I've been on Yamahas with their CP3 motor. So, what's new for 2024 in the MT-09? Well, it's a very important model for Yamaha. The sales are big, but more important, it's occupying more and more of the consciousness of the modern street rider. The hyper nakeds are all the rage, and Yamaha kind of stole a march on the field a decade ago when they introduced the first FZ-09, as it was then called. What do we have new for 2024? We have new suspension settings, front and rear. We have a new back torque regulator called a back slip regulator. And we have new styling, new riding position. Mixed with all of that, of course, I should say, that's all placed on the platform that we've all come to know and love over the course of the past several years. It's a very, very competent sport bike. I went to the Bol d'Or back in 2021, and they actually had a support race, a 4-hour endurance race for naked bikes, and bikes like this were on the track out at Paul Ricard, hammering it, and the riders looked like they were having a very good time, and they were making really good time as they were going. So, 890cc, parallel, inline I should say, 3-cylinder. We all know, we all love. This one seems a little peppier than the previous models. Yamaha has very deliberately kept the first part of the RPM band softer, more manageable, and then the bike kicks in with the proper rush towards redline. Little tip that I found out from riding today, instead of revving it to second, use third. Third actually seems a little peppier, but overall the bike definitely seems like it's got a little more punch when you twist the throttle than it did before. The suspension settings, front and rear, are, I think, a big improvement. The components are not uber expensive, top of the line stuff. They don't need to be. Not for the bike, not for this bike, and not for what it is designed to do. What is important is that they are set up properly, and the spring rates and damping rates, both in the fork and in the shock, seem to handle everything that we threw at it over about 120 miles of back roads and some in-town riding here in Northern California. Some of the roads that we went on were pretty beaten up. Not only did I get the front off the ground more than once, I got the rear off the ground more than once. And when you're barreling into a corner, you know, at speed, over roads that you're not really sure just how rutted they actually are, you really want the suspension to be controlled at anything close to a sane speed on a public highway. The suspension was up to the task. So, that was really nice. The riding position, personally, I really liked. The pegs are a little bit further back and a little bit higher up. The adjustable foot pegs returned for this particular model. These were all set, all the test bikes were set on the lower setting, but it was still very comfortable. The bars are lower and further forward, and yet no weight on the wrist. The riding position feels very compact, and the bars have just that little bit of extra leverage that comes with them being a little bit wider than clip-ons. The styling, I think, rocks. There's a really nice flow of lines between the cowling for the headlight all the way through the tank, the seat, and the tail section. The back slip regulator, I never really got to try, But I'll tell you a couple of things that I did try because of the roads that we were on that impressed me. First, the handling and the flickability. Like I said, the suspension was controlled enough that I was comfortable going into a corner at speed, confident that the suspension could handle any surprises that the road threw at me mid-corner. That was really nice. In straight up and down riding, over potholes and things like that, it was not plush, but controlled. And that's exactly what I want in a bike that I'm going to use for sporting purposes. It flicks very easily from side to side. The last bit of our ride today was switchback after switchback after switchback, mile after mile, and it was remarkable just how easy it was to throw the bike into a corner and know that you were going to hit exactly the spot that you were aiming at. That was very, very nice. Like I mentioned, the riding position overall was comfortable, not only for straight up riding, but it was also comfortable when you were trying to make time in the twisties. As I mentioned, the engine, not the most powerful thing at the bottom, peppy enough, easy to control when you're coming off the line, and once you start revving it, it's got more than enough go power. I mean, I smile every time I think about this motor and every time I think about riding one of these bikes. Yamaha's quick shifter is refined for this year. It is up and down. The range of speeds at which it operates and the conditions under which it operates are broader this year, and it is slick. It is one of the nicest ones that's out there. So that really was a very, very pleasant experience. The way that I look at this bike is this. The concept has not changed in nearly a decade. It's a powerful, upright bike that has genuine sporting capabilities. Yamaha got it very, very right from the very beginning, and they've spent a decade honing it, making it better, sharpening the fine points, smoothing off the weaker areas. And what they have here is a motorcycle that is very, very, very capable. And at the price, less than $10,600 suggested retail to begin with, it's hard to beat the bang per buck. I'm Michael Gugis with Road Racing World. Thanks for watching.